Hello and welcome back to the Virtus Performance Podcast. It feels good to be back in the hosting chair. My guest thinks this is all a little bit weird and can't believe that people actually listen to this, but I've reassured him that we do have a few listeners. My guest is Troy
McDonagh.
McDonagh.
Listeners, it's how long they listen. Crazy.
As I said, I've got to say I don't listen to it either, but that's for the sheer fact that I sit here in the hosting chair and have already listened to it once and don't really need to listen to it again. But first of all, I've actually got a bone to pick with my guest. I did this to him the other day in person, but I'm doing it again on camera for the sheer fact of entertainment. I've been coaching you and your son on the Wednesday night for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
I've stopped doing Wednesday nights because footy training's back. Mitch takes over for 2 weeks and you're giving him free betties.
I know. I've been reflecting on it, but I think there's a couple of things in it, Ty. You actually ditched us on the Wednesday night, so there was a little bit of resentment going on with that. And then Mitchy's sort of, had a few hard times over the last month or two. Yes. I wasn't sure whether he was eating, and so I thought maybe you should spot him a bit of food on the Wednesday. I do owe you one, all right? Let's say that.
I won't lie. Let's just say I won't be forgetting about it. Troy.
Well, that's twice you brought it up, so
that's
clearly
twice.
I'm going to have to owe it up to you.
I'll drop it now. Hey, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Look, 4 kids to start, so they're all up and about early and busy and different stages of life. And I have historically liked to train in the morning. I'm starting to test out the evening training, which I'm quite enjoying. Yeah. But, I've always felt if I could get up early, get some training in, help at home, get the kids going, that kind of sets me up in the right mindset for the day.
There's no better way to start the day than by doing something challenging.
Yeah.
And then anything that comes after that, it's just...
It is. It gets bloody hard as you get older, and I know that's not an excuse, but it just... Lots happening in your world, and everyone's busy, so you really have to commit to it. And so, I think... enjoying what you do is important, and that means you wake up and you kind of go, right, I'm ready for the day. I know what I've got to do. I'm pretty clear in, the plan for the day, and so off you go. So I always have a bit of a positive frame of mind, as you know. So that's good.
Yeah, that's something I have learned over the time with you. Hey, you did say 4 kids, which actually I didn't know there was 4 of them, so I've already learned something. How old's the youngest? How old's the oldest? And what are they all doing?
Lila's the oldest. She's 18, just finished VCE, so she's starting to spread her wings and do her thing. Noah's 16, going into year 12. Annemiek 14, and Jonah 7. So cracking 4.
Good diversity of ages.
Yeah, they're lovely kids.
So morning workouts ticked off. What does your day look like after that? What do you do with yourself?
Yeah, it's mate, it's quite diverse. So I sort of grown up in business and done different things. I like the diversity in the day. So often a variety of businesses that are going on. Making sure that I've got the leaders covered and make sure they know what they're doing, and my priorities for the day are kind of organised. So there's the standard meeting stuff that goes on, but I think they've got to be purposeful and meaningful, and they've got to have clear outcomes as the day rolls along. But it's just every day is a different day. So
you got your fingers in many pies. Do you want to give us a little bit of an insight into the different businesses that you are involved in?
Yeah, so I've always been in sort of hospitality, retail, leisure, entertainment, different businesses, sometimes my own businesses, sometimes, in corporate roles. So I've kind of got a mixed bag at the moment. So I'm part of a business called Betty's Burgers, and sort of managing director for that business and a shareholder in that business. So, that takes up a lot of time. And then along the journey over the last 10 years, picked up and been involved in some other businesses. So one of those is partnering with the beautiful Sam the Badger Keck at Commonfolk, who I know you love. And
we very much love.
Tommy Talak and Casey and the entire team down there. So, spend a bit of time with Sammy and the board there and making sure the business is moving in the right direction. And then... got involved in a business about 5 years ago doing outdoor basketball courts, and that's sort of grown and scaled pretty quickly. So I spend a little bit of time on that now. That's called Dream Court. So anyone out there that needs a great home basketball court, hit me up.
Well, I might want a tennis court one day when I have my own house,
courts,
which will be a long way away. But
so that's where the diversity comes in. So they're different stages of their business cycles, and that combined with Al and the 4 kids, and just family life, and it's busy. Yeah.
Yep. So, I guess explain to the audience the importance of, I guess, tending to your own garden and looking after yourself before you can fill others' cups up.
I feel like probably a step further than that. It's because Al and I have been married for 20 years. I think the more important part is that in a relationship or a partnership that you're in, there's time that you have to give that as the first priority. So my kind of focus on myself drops down the list a little bit. So my focus is about Al and I being really harmonious and having a really happy home for our kids, right? And because that is the foundation of everything. Everything sort of feeds off that.
That is literally happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, well, yeah. To that extent, but also just if you don't invest in that, then as an individual, you're then not happy. So I think my priority is making sure, and I often sort of say this to people that are in relationships, that you've got to set that time aside. You've got to dedicate and commit to that time, and otherwise you just become running partners in life and you can start to drift very easily. So first priority is that for me. Second priority is probably, the kids' happiness, because, they're going, and then as part of that, I will fit my routine in and amongst it. So that's what works for me. It's not for everyone, but sometimes you've got to make sacrifices, and this week I've trained once, right? So for me, that's a struggle week for me, because it starts to affect me physically and mentally. So I've got to re-correct that.
Yeah, and I suppose it'll start to affect you, and then it'll affect your family,
that's
and
right.
then quite possibly the healthier businesses as well.
So you're right. You've got to look after yourself and prioritise yourself, and sometimes those priorities move a little bit depending on where you're at. But yeah, so that's kind of how I look at things.
Yeah, lovely. Hey, you chatted about Betty's Burgers.
Yeah.
Were you involved in like the creation and the grassroots growth of that business? Or so what's your involvement there?
Yeah. So what happened? The story was that the first restaurant opened in Noosa about 8 years ago, and often as these things happen, there's founders and entrepreneurs that sort of get things going. I came in at about restaurant 4, so they'd had it up and going, and they'd made a decision to sell. This is the one owner. It just became a lot for those first 2 or 3. So he sold the business to an equity group. And so I came in as part of that to help that transaction happen. And then part of that was to kind of make sure that everyone was getting along. I feel like some of the skills I have is to bring parties together to try and create, a harmony.
A happy and high-performing team,
That's right.
organisation.
Yeah. So I came in to help the founder kind of start to exit out of the business. So that was restaurant, probably by the time we did that was restaurant 8. And then took the business over and started to work with the team. Started to reshape that team.
So your role is really like team cohesiveness and...
Yeah, it's a bit of change management really. So just making sure that, without all the bullshit that
people
goes
don't
with
like
it.
Change,
it's just,
do they?
Yeah, that's right. It's just making sure that you're bringing a group of people together and they understand kind of what the purpose of the mission is, and a lot of that stuff that you sort of set down and they all go, yep, I want to be a part of that, or I don't want to be a part of that. And we feel like we got a group of people together, we're moving as one, and we just opened restaurant 51. So things are ticking along for us.
So you jumped in at, say, number 3 or 4?
Yeah, number 3 or 4. So it's gone all right.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, and a lot of fun. I always believe that if you're in business and you're working every day, you just got to love what you do. You've got to enjoy it.
If you hate it, you just can't put your heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
No.
So for anyone out there that's labouring and hate what they do, really stop and reflect, because you can make a decision today.
It's torture.
Yeah, but often people stay in stuff, right, and they go beyond their expiry date, and it becomes quite toxic.
I guess it's that fear of change, what we just discussed about before,
We talk a lot about the magic that's created when you step out of your comfort zone. And so my job as a leader and in business is to force people out of their comfort zone, because when you're out of your comfort zone is when the magic happens. And so often people that I push outside their zones, they'll say to me in 6 months' time, "That's the best thing that ever happened to me," or "It's the best decision I made," and so I encourage all leaders to keep forcing people out of their comfort zones.
Yeah, and there's big
day.
parallels to like the health and fitness journey. Like,
that's right.
No physiological change to your body is going to happen inside a comfort zone. Like muscles literally need to be pushed to the point of almost failure.
Yeah, spot on.
Outside the comfort zone.
Yeah, spot on.
Like
so the same principles apply, right?
Yeah.
Just
there's a prerequisite level of stress that an organism needs to experience to actually grow.
Nice.
Big words make me feel smart.
You're right.
What are you looking for in not just a life partner, but a business partner that you potentially want to work with and help grow?
Yeah, I think like in any partnership, I think just at the heart of it, you just got to like each other. And, you meet people that you just instantly connect with. And for me, it's if that instant appeal or attraction is there and there's a likability, and then you layer in things like you can trust them, they're reliable, they're honest, they're hardworking, the values line up. We talked about a bit about our values. Sometimes your personal values align, your business values align, then you just know you've got a partnership that you want to enter into. And that doesn't matter whether it's your husband, your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. But and in business, it's the same. You've just got to have this almost unspoken word that you can lean into each other when times are good, and you celebrate the wins, and when times are tough, you can lean in even harder. And the last 3 years, partnerships have been tested in so many ways, right? In all facets of our life. And I think we all kind of reflect on that time and go, well, what are the partnerships that really stood up and, were really rock solid during that time, and which ones just failed around us? And we've made some adjustments in our lives.
What are some of those values that you do look for yourself?
Yeah, so one of the things that I always do in a business sense is make sure that there's clear values that the team create. And so I'll use Betty's as an example. So every day I don't know if this is being filmed, but every team member at Betty's gets one of these when they start with us, and it's the values bracelet.
Yeah, nice.
And so our values were created by a group of people around Restaurant 5 across all parts of our business that sort of came together and built out the vision for the business and the values of the business. So
that's cool. What does that say?
It says PAGE: passion, authenticity, integrity, genuine hospitality, and ultimately the last is E, which is creating experiences that are worth sharing. So the young team members 15 plus get one when they start. They understand what our values are.
That's every single Betty's worker.
Yep. So there's 3,000 of them, and I would expect that I could walk into any restaurant today and they will be wearing it as part of their uniform, and they will know what they mean. They're recognised for them, they're rewarded for them, and we're held accountable to the values. So those values on my wrist line up to me. I would say that they're probably symbolic of who I am as a person. So I really think your own values are critical, that you then line them up to whoever you're working with or for or partnering with. And if there's values alignment, then there's going to be magic.
That's it. And I can imagine like being a 15, 16-year-old that might be a little bit lost in the world, and they go and get a job at Betty's and they get given this bracelet that you just feel a part of a community. It's almost like a sense of belonging.
Yes. Same as Virtus, right? I see it playing out here. There's a general sense of belonging. There's a sense of values alignment. People care about each other. And sometimes they don't have to be on your wrist. They don't have to be on a piece of paper. They're just intrinsic in you. And, I think this business does an exceptional job here at Virtus in living out the values that it stands by. So, yeah, it's good. That's sort of what I sort of look for.
I love that. I've actually have noticed that on you before. I had no idea that was
Yeah, so I'll get up every day, and this is a reminder to me of the commitment I've made to people in our business, and it helps me kind of go, am I living by these? Am I aligned to these? And people hold me accountable for it. So, no matter where you are and what you're doing. And Commonfolk is the same. We have a set of values at Commonfolk, and Sam leads those and lives those, and we hold ourselves, highly accountable for delivering on them. So, anyway.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Some of the work we're recently doing at Virtus is partnering with local business and helping them invest in their team and build, happy, healthy, high-performing staff and really cohesive teams. What do you feel is the benefit of investing in your team and looking after their health and wellness?
Look, I think no matter what, the vast majority of businesses are all relying on people, and so I have this people-first approach in every aspect of my life. So when I look at running a big team, if you're not investing in your people and if you're not making decisions that all are focused on people and culture, then the rewards typically don't come. So if you're looking for financial outcomes from your business, if you're looking for customer-orientated outcomes from your business, they're only going to happen if you've got a happy and harmonious workplace and people that genuinely care about what they're doing. So to your point there, mate, where you're investing in here and local community and all those things are so critical to the success of an organisation. But you could you can talk that about schools or councils or government, or there has to be a people-first approach. And in my career, that's been my probably one of my criticisms, that I lean too heavily into culture and people. And then when, you have to make decisions around those things, they become very difficult. But I've always believed that you can weather the storm if you've got a team environment where people care, they're united, they feel valued, they will manoeuvre with you all of those ups and downs.
The great Alex Bose, and it's not the first time I've dropped his name in this podcast, the great Alex Bose said to me the other day, it's the expense that makes sense when you do invest in your staff and make sure that they're well and they're happy.
And it's always at the times when you test it, right? Because the first thing to go is some of those little nice things to do. And in businesses I've just seen fail, they've started to pull the pin on stuff to save a bit of coin, or cash gets tight, and it's when that happens that you need to double down, right? And those businesses that double down on their people through those hard times, and again I go back to that COVID period, you reap the rewards down the track. And so I only have to look at the businesses I'm involved with. The team are all still there. They're all consistent. They're all still doing what they love, and there hasn't been any dropout over those last couple of years.
That's it. And that's like with us. Like Lockie said to me the other day, he's seen a direct correlation with the amount of money he puts into the business and the amount of money he spends and the money we get back.
That's right. And you can see it.
And there's a limit to that. But
you have to. I mean, you've got to be careful. But you guys have done a great job maintaining status quo during a pretty tricky period, and clearly, the people that connect here have doubled down, right? And they want to be part of it. They want to be part of the future with you, and the benefits are coming.
Yeah, you're right. It's a people and relationship business. Here, it does not matter the big dirty secret of the fitness industry. It does not matter the exercise you do, the equipment you have. Nothing fucking matters.
Yeah.
It is all about how well you can build a relationship and get your clients, whoever, to trust in you.
Spot on.
And
Spot on.
ride your coattails.
No, you're right, mate.
Beautiful. Hey, the importance of systems in business for success, because some of the biggest businesses like your Macca's, KFC, they have just phenomenal systems where a pretty uneducated 15-year-old can jump in and start slapping burgers together and just. What are the importance of really, really good, robust systems?
Yeah, I think the importance is to me that you keep looking for opportunities to be better, and you're innovating all the time, and that they might just be little micro improvements. So, in a business when you're dealing with a large group of people, and in my space it's a young group of people, you have to be very clear and consistent with your systems, your tools and your processes, because safety in the workplace for us is critical, right? Yeah. Young kids can hurt themselves very easily. So if you're a one-place operation, then you typically get away with stuff that you just can't when you grow.
There's less need for scalability.
Yeah. And if they have no appetite to do that, it's fine. But where we're at right now, like safety in the workplace is everything. So we have to have good systems. We have to have continued improvement in our operations, and there's great people in our business that kind of look for that stuff each and every day. And our young team have a voice. So if there's something not right, they'll bloody tell us about it.
Yep.
Mate, they will tell us about it, and we've got a whole heap of channels available to them to tell us. And we'll make change. That's the beauty of being a people-first business. If our team aren't happy, then we had a request yesterday come in, and it might sound silly, but we have these black hats in kitchens, and they're closed at the back, and they're too hot for the team. And so the request came in to go to a different style, and so we made that change in 24 hours. In a big business like ours, those still things are all people-first decisions. So it's good.
People sometimes give you the shits with some requests. like, where do you toe the line between some, outrageous requests and ones that are quite reasonable?
Yeah, I think what I find, our guests give me the shits. Yeah. Right? Now I'm a very guest-focused
We won't post this.
No, but it's sometimes I just feel like we judge very quickly. And, there's obviously, guests pay for product and all the things that come with that, but they're very quick to judge. And so things that probably don't frustrate me but get me down a little bit is when we get feedback, and sometimes that feedback is harsh and we want to be great at what we do, and the team are very proud of that. And so when we miss the mark, that hurts. So
people will let you know about it, which is unfortunate. No one's going to leave not many people are going to leave a positive review. The only people that are going to leave a review are the ones that have got an axe to grind. Which is unfortunate.
And look, we like anything, whether it be this business or others, it's just you want to do a great job, right?
Yeah.
And you're passionate about it, and you're proud of it. And so when it doesn't quite meet the mark, that's frustrating.
It's frustrating. In amongst this job, I hate fucking up. I hate doing things wrong. Like I hate when Locke has to pull me up and say,
I know.
Do this, do that.
But that feedback's great. Look from a team point of view, they're all pretty good. There can be days where if you're doing the same thing every day and it's repetitive, and things don't necessarily go your way, then you can become a bit frustrated. But I don't see a lot of that, mate. I tend to be pretty optimistic and positive, and that flows through when that's infectious to other people, and they can bank on that. One thing I like is that people know who I am. They can trust that I will be the same Troy right now with you, Ty, tomorrow, the next day. So, and people can rely on it. So, when you can be that and you can expect that of someone, then you're in a good place.
It was a part I looked forward to on my Wednesday nights. Just getting the,
we have a bit of fun, mate.
Yeah, it was good.
You have to come back to Wednesday. We'll ditch Mitchie out.
Yeah, we'll ditch Mitch. When footy goes back to Tuesday, Thursday night training, we'll make a trade.
We'll have Betty's on Wednesday night
yes.
from now on. We'll make it a routine.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a deal.
Hey, growing up, did you always know that you wanted to be, big business owner, fingers in many pies?
No, all I wanted to do when I was a kid was play footy.
Yep.
Yeah, I was a mad AFL footy head. Spent my years from probably 6 years of age to 14, 15 just with a football in my hand. And so I grew up, all I wanted to do was play AFL footy, and I got that opportunity, so I sort of worked my way up. At that stage, the under-19 competition still existed, so I went up through the ranks, the 15 development squad, 17 development squad into the 19s at Carlton, and was on the cusp of, a reserve senior spot. It was the last year of the under-19s and the last game of the pre-season, and I tore my ligaments in my knee. So,
and is that still the knee that sort of gives you grief?
Yeah, so
today?
that's 50 years of age. I've just had a full knee replacement. So that was tore both ligaments or the ligaments in my knee, reconstruction, went back. They gave me another shot, but I kind of didn't have the same gusto then. And so then they dropped me back, went back to Eastern Districts and played Division 1 there, and then I tore it again. And so sort of...
Couldn't catch a break.
Yeah, so it was just, I was kind of really challenged at that time because that's all I ever wanted to do. That's all I knew. And when that dream didn't eventuate, I had to turn my attention elsewhere.
What age did you say you were? You were 19 at that first injury
so
when you were on the cusp?
Under 19. So that was just sort of 18 into 19, and then...
Which you're a boy still, like you're a kid.
Yeah.
You're not that
so
old.
when that's all you want to do and that's all you think's heading your way and you're kind of there...
Were you equipped to cope with that?
Not really. No. I was kind of a bit lost for quite a few years, and I was sort of struggling along at a uni course and working sort of part time, doing bits and pieces, and but I always probably knew that I had some capability in a leadership sense, whether it be in sport or whether it be at school.
Yeah, had you been in captaincy roles in footy before?
Yeah, I had sort of school roles and captaincies.
And it always carry over,
Yeah, so once I kind of got myself out of the pit of misery, which took a few years, that's how the business has started. I sort of started working in hospitality and went from there.
Yeah, if you don't mind, go into a bit more detail about that. Troy in the pit of misery with one knee to
I think it's
owning 50 Betty's Burgers.
We always talk about... getting yourself out of the pit of misery, because I find sometimes you are dealing with people that are struggling, and I think it's a mindset shift. So for me, in those early days when your dream is crushed and you're not able to kind of see beyond that, then you can fall down into that pit of misery, and it takes only you and potentially support around you to be able to climb out of that. So and that's when you've got to lean into your friends and your family and partners and be communicating and open, and sometimes we struggle with that. So that probably took me a couple of years and really to find my feet again and say, okay, well, that's not going to happen for me. Yeah. And I think once you get beyond that, then you start to climb out of the pit and get yourself right and focus on the future. And that's kind of what happened. And then I naturally fell into roles, and those roles became bigger, and that's how that career started. And everyone's kind of going through their own journey with that stuff. Yeah.
What did the study look like? You said you were in and out of a uni course?
Yeah, I was doing architecture. So I dropped out of... so I was doing... When I was sort of playing footy, I was at an architect's firm in South Melbourne, and I thought I could be an architect and enjoyed design and construction, and then got 4 years into that, and weirdly I was designing a place. Nobody probably on this call would know it, but it was called Blue Train Cafe. It was at Southgate in the city. It was an iconic cafe that was built. Well, I met the owners through that design, and as part of that I said, mate, I need to earn a bit of cash. Can you give me a job at night? So I used to finish at the architect's firm about 5:30, and then I'd catch a train into the city and work there till about midnight, and then do that 5 nights, 5 days there, 5 nights.
On the hustle.
On the hustle, yeah. And then I fell in love with hospitality, because I found myself 4 years into an architect's degree thinking I'm never going to be in the top 5% architects in the country. But I felt like I had a home in hospo.
Is that just because the love wasn't there?
I just think there's a skill. There's a skill set and a uniqueness in that. There's an elite element of that architecture space that are designing homes and commercial properties and buildings, and just there's, and I just wasn't. I was sort of mediocre, and so I thought, okay, well, I can keep trucking along at this and sort of make it. And I was sitting behind a desk all day, and then I'd go and work in hospital at night, and just fucking loved it. Right, loved being around people. So that was where the shift came, and I thought, well, that's where I want to be.
And I guess for me, like that just sounds like work and a hustle. But I guess if your heart's in it and you love it, like that's just...
love it. Mate, I just enjoyed. I loved what I was doing, both sides. But then sort of lent further into hospitality, and then was offered a job there full time, and then just developed up in those spaces. So I continued doing. Studies during the time. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities to do your development academically, but I always did that through the workplace. And then you can stay in that corporate stream or you can get into your own business. And at my stage of life, I really enjoy the diversity in different businesses and helping out young leaders that are kind of making their way and doing their thing.
Just swinging back to that architecture, you said you didn't have the skill and you think it's quite a niche skill. Skill versus like a love and passion. If you don't quite have the skill for something, but you just love it and you're passionate, how far can that get you?
I think you got to have both.
Yeah.
I think you've got to have a gift in whatever you're doing, but you've also got to have just a heart for that as well.
Yeah, so you can't have just one.
No, it'll take you so far, and then you get to a point where you go, I actually don't like what I'm doing. And I think a lot of people, I've probably had moments of that in my time, but you can get to that point. And that's why I was saying to anyone that's listening, it's like, if you are at that stage, just make a change, right? There's plenty of opportunity out there at the moment. And I know it sounds hard and it feels hard, but, if you've got the skill and you've got the kind of experience, but you don't have the desire and the passion and the enthusiasm, they go hand in hand. It's not going to work.
It's not happening.
Yeah, spot on.
Present day Troy to future Troy. Kids all grown up, finished school.
Yeah.
What do we anticipate that looks like? We're still a long way away, but
long way away.
Present day goals and
I'd like to just
ambitions.
I'd like to just do good things, right?
Yeah.
And I think I've got this sort of appetite to kind of keep doing what I'm doing and doing diverse things over the next 5 to 10 years. We are getting to that stage. The weird thing is that we've got those older kids, but we decided to have a younger one in Jonah who's 7. So we've got this weird space where we've got older kids growing up, and then I've got a grade 1. So our life's still going to be quite unique for a long period of time. But I don't know, mate, just be good, be kind. I'm just going to keep doing random shit like I'm doing now and, just living a good life. I want to sort of ease back maybe in 5 or so years, but right now I'm full throttle. Yeah. Yeah.
Easing back to sort of spend more time with the kids?
I think just to make sure that you can enjoy the time you got, I mean, I kind of figure, without being too doom and gloomy, most of us have 80 years roughly on the planet, some more, some less, and, I'm 50 of that in, so I've got 30 left, so I just want to make sure, what I often talk about is I want my legacy, I want people to think of Troy in a good way, I want them to think that he's a good person, he's done great things, he's left his mark, he's been reliable, he's been consistent, he's been fun, all those things that I just want when I go, that I can look back and say I've done the very best I can, and I've lived a great life and I've had a lot of fun and I've met a lot of amazing people. And days like today, Kai, even just this with you, right? You can quite easily say, nah, that's too hard, don't have time for that. But you just got to make time to kind of sit and just reflect. Days like today are just a reason for that.
Yeah. Importance of that quiet time and reflection, which is something I've learned very recently. That you got to give yourself that space to shut the mind off, be quiet, and just reflect. Any practices that you implement to help?
I think one of them for me is training.
Yep.
So I know it seems weird, but this is a happy place for me. So when I get that hour, it is my time. So that's a selfish moment. And it's not a selfish moment. It is my moment, right? And so that's one. I get a lot of car time. So often it'll just be think time. So I suppose the advice I'm giving to anyone out there listening is that you grab the moments that best suit you. Some people meditate, some people get up in the morning and sit outside. It will vary, but you just take the moments where you can sort of, internalise that suit you.
One of the best bits of advice I got given by Geordie Verdot.
Oh, yep.
When he's in the car, radio off, music off, and that's quiet time. And it's good to just not have any stimulus in the brain, no thoughts, just
and everyone will be different. So, but as long as you're getting that time to kind of think and reflect, sometimes it's a bit of planning, sometimes it's a bit of analysing. It's just, and sometimes there's nothing, right? It's just And I suppose it goes back earlier, a lot of enjoyment for Al and I sometimes will just go away for a night or two because you don't get a chance when you're in a busy life to just talk and just genuinely connect. And, so that's, for me and Al, it's such a powerful thing.
Yeah, and that's one thing I sometimes regret with the people close to me, like that time when we catch up, sometimes there is no like deep connection or talk. It's sometimes it's just shit talk.
It's fleeting, right?
It's fleeting, yeah.
And
I hate fleeting conversations.
Yeah, and in life, that's a lot of that, right? And so if you can commit to whoever you're with, or a partner that you're with, or just a friend that you want to spend time with, it's just be present, connect meaningfully, give yourself the time and space to do that.
We do have to wrap up soon because as I said at the start, Troy was baffled that the podcast goes for so long. He thought it went for 10 minutes. so thanks for sticking around for nearly 40.
Thanks,
the final question on the podcast is always, if you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
If I could teach the world one thing, I spend a lot of my time helping people understand what kindness means, and how they can kind of sort of be and do kind things. So I just think sometimes we're in a world that judges very quickly and it's quite superficial, and we're just not kind to each other. So I think if we could have more kindness in the world and more empathy for each other, we'd get a lot further. That's what I would want. And
just be kind.
Yeah, just be kind to each other and just be nice to each other and just take a moment to understand each other's situation. So don't judge. Forgive if you can, right? Because there's so much conflict and we just don't get past that conflict. And so I think, now more than ever in this world, we just need kindness and we need to forgive.
I love it. That is all. Thanks so much for your time. Great, man.
Pleasure, mate.